Okay, so you know how serious this is. I mean, this is a daunting proposition. They won the President's Trophy for a reason. How would you describe this?
Well, they did, and yet in going into the third period on the road against the President's Trophy team, you've either had the lead or been tied in both of these games. Like, that's how close it is. It just shows you how tight the games are, not only in the playoffs, but the difference between your top teams in the league and your teams that are trying to become top teams in the league. But these first two games have shown you how close it can be.
Would an idea be don't put Robert Thomas out there with their stars so he doesn't have as much defensive responsibility? Is that a thought?
It's impossible to avoid. I mean, you're in the first two games, Winnipeg has the last change. So every single faceoff you put out of somebody on the ice, then Winnipeg gets to decide who that goes. With Jim Montgomery, he'll have the last change. He'll have the chance to probably adjust that a little bit. So in games 3 and 4, you might see more of a change where Robert Thomas's line might be against somebody else depending on the zone. But on the road, that's a really hard thing to do.
The Texier possible move, how do you see it?
Well, that's just, you've lost the first two games. You're bringing in some speed. You're bringing in, some skill as well. You're bringing in a player that you hope is highly motivated to get that chance to play in the playoffs as well. And it's just trying to find the combination. But the reality, Frank, though, is it's the playoffs. You can make some changes like they made in Game 2. You can make a change maybe that they make here for Game 3. But it's your best players and their best players. And right now it's been Scheifele and Connor that have been the difference maker in this series. And now the Blues on home ice will have a chance to see if their best players can have that impact.
What about the battle of the world-class goalies? And really, I know it means so much to Jordan Binnington, but how much it means to Hellebuck, who's been on the wrong end of a couple of big stages with Jordan.
Well, not only that, but until that last game, Connor Hellebuck had gone 10 straight playoff games allowing 3 or more goals. In the playoffs the last 2 years for Winnipeg, they won their first game and then they lost the next 4. To Vegas 1 year and then to Colorado the next year. So them winning Game 2 was kind of a big thing for them mentally. I think the goaltending has been terrific. I think Jordan Binnington has been fantastic. You look at all the goals that have gone in, and I think there's really only one clean one. And that was the Iafallo one. I don't think there's any other one that I'm pointing at a goaltender on. So, to me, I think the goaltending has been absolutely fantastic. Now, the Blues are going to try. They've got to get more volume in on Hellebuck. They've shown they can beat him. They've shown they can score on him, at least on the power play. Okay.
So, break it down, 2 or 3 things that have to happen for you to win Game 3.
I think whatever lines are matched up against Scheifele and Connor, they're going to have to be at least even in the old plus-minus rating. You're going to have to stay out of the penalty box and keep things. I think the Blues special teams have been terrific in this series. So to me, that's going to have to continue. And then the one thing we haven't seen yet is the Blues defense actually play a larger role on the offensive side of things. I think the Blues have had one of the top scoring defensive groupings in the league this year. I think they're top 4 or 5, and we haven't seen their impact yet in this series on that side of things.